the social media exec here at Xpand, and today we're going to talk about building a powerful brand on any platform. And by platform, I mean any social platform, but a lot of these things will work towards anything. So we've got a lot to go through, so I'm going to try and cram it in. So did you know there's over 56 million people in the UK on social media, and that's over 82% of our population. And some of the top reasons people use it are, well, the top three are reading the news, filling spare time, and keeping up with family and friends. Now you're probably thinking that's got nothing to do with me selling services or products. But some of the other reasons were looking at things to buy or to be influenced by, and keeping in touch with people's favourite brands. So if that's not enough reason for you to be using social media for your business, I don't know what else I can tell you to actually help. So the actual benefits of building a strong brand are enhanced credibility, improved brand reputation, we skipped ahead. We'll go back through it. So enhanced credibility, that's obviously social media you can use to show off your expertise and your knowledge in your industry. You can be part of relevant conversations and really set yourself up as the thought leader in your industry. To improve your brand reputation, social actually allows you to control the narrative around your brand. So it gives you that kind of a lot more control in what you're doing. If anything negative comes out, you can be the first one to kind of jump on it and actually react to it and turn it into something that's good. And then you can boost your sales and website traffic. If you've got that strong brand on, people are going to be more interested in going into your website. You can easily direct people there and make sales. So probably wondering what actually are the elements of a powerful brand. So there's two. The first one is your brand identity, and the second one is your visual identity. So technically visual identity and brand identity would all come under your brand, but for this sake I'm going to just split them up and explain them. So with both of these, you want to be right here in what I call the good place, or the sweet spot. You need both to kind of build that powerful brand. So your brand identity tends to be more almost like your business's personalities. Other things I'll go through in a second. And then your visual identity is obviously how you look and how you're coming across. So if we start with your brand identity, this is going to include stuff like your purpose. Your purpose you've got to think about is why your company exists beyond making a profit. There's got to be something more besides profit. The second one is your vision for the brand, for your brand. So that's kind of separate to purpose, because that focuses your company and the people and your team and kind of casts a vision for the future, what you want to actually do. And then we work on your mission, and so that's actually how you're going to make these two things work, and it's almost like a motivating statement for you, but also others and people looking into your brand. Then there's your values. So a lot of businesses will already have values. They're often, sorry if you've got these boring ones, I'll call you out now. There'll be things like trust and integrity. And they're boring and they don't mean anything to anyone, and usually they're up on the wall. Funnily enough, ours are up on the wall just here, but they actually do mean anything. They're not just one word things. We kind of evidence them every week, so they're not just there as like, oh look, we have these values. We actually hire people based on these. So it's important to actually have them that matter to you, because then when they matter to you, people will see that from the outside. And then there's your brand voice, and that can also be known as your tone of voice. So it's how you're actually going to come across. Are you going to be funny? Are you going to be friendly, sarcastic? There's so many different ways you can go with it. So I wanted to give you an example of some kind of strong brand identities, and Nike is one of them. You probably know the campaign Just Do It. That actually started way back in 1999, so it's been going a really long time. But Nike, you probably know, is a very confident brand. It's athletic wear. Some of the examples from their kind of tweets have been, number one was never the destination. Number one is only the beginning. That's very on brand for Nike. It's simple, just like the Just Do It campaign. And it's very much confidence and oozing, we work hard. And another one is champions always find a way, #just do it. So that is so on brand for Nike, and that kind of is what you actually expect as well from them. Another one, which is slightly doing a 180, is Aldi. Now, Aldi's socials are very different to their website. I don't know if you've noticed, especially their Twitter or X feed, whichever you want to call it. Your social and your actual website and any other kind of sound don't actually have to be the same. The whole point of social, that it's social, it's fun, it's not that serious. You can, have a bit more fun with it. So Aldi are really well known for being on trend and reacting super quickly with their kind of tongue-in-cheek, really sarcastic things. Remember, I don't know if it was last year, the year before, with the caterpillar cakes, they've got marks and snitches more like, #free Cuthbert. Glad Bible talked about them having a knockoff of Five Guys, and they've got Who's for a Six Geezers. It's really bringing out the personality there. And theirs is completely different to anyone else's. They're very original. A lot more people are starting to do that kind of tone of voice now, but I feel like everyone's doing it, but Aldi was one of the first ones. So, a top tip for when you are coming up with your brand identity and your tone of voice is actually do something that your audience will relate to, not just what you fancy. It's always making sure you put the spotlight on them instead of you. And so let's move on to your visual identity. So I wanted to give you an example. This is something branding we did, or a rebrand for a tax firm here in Bradford called Zip, you might know them. And wanted to go through what actually works with this. So in your kind of visual identity, it actually consists of like logos, colour palettes, shapes and fonts as well. So the first thing is that it's a simple design. It's really easy to read, there's nothing that's too complicated, it's kind of popping out there and it's not going to, it might make you double take, it's not too hard to look at. The second is, if it wants to go, we've skipped ahead, is a modern font. A lot of times we see is that people go with a font that's trending, and in a few years it's out of trend and your logo and stuff just looks dated, and then you have to go rebrand it, and it's a whole pain to do that. So always make sure you're actually doing something that's a bit more classic and modern in a way that's not going to go out of date. Second one is a striking colour palette. So a lot of people come and they have about 10 colours to their brand, and it's not something that's actually going to make you stand out or people remember who you are. With this one with Zip, kept with the yellow and the black, and that's very much almost like hazardous colours. It's going to make you kind of stand up and see it and think, oh, what's this? When actually it is just a taxi firm. So when you are thinking about your colour palettes and stuff, think about kind of like the colour psychology and what different colours actually mean. So like orange, for example, is a more of an energetic colour. I think blue is more calming. There's all sorts of things you can go into and just, think about how it's going to make people feel. The second is a classic design. So it's simple and it's classic, it's easy to read. Again, there's just no like fluffiness to it, because that doesn't help you when you do start bringing out your kind of logo onto different things, not just social, on your website, on other marketing piece of work. So other things you kind of look at is also shapes as well you bring in. It doesn't just have to be boring, but make sure you kind of bring in and have that consistency. You can see there's the eye there with triangle and the eye there along with their strap line. And then it's memorable. It's something that's so simple that it's there, and the colours and all these kind of different things work in to make it memorable, and it's not trying to be too clever. You have the strapline saying get there in a zip. It's always better to be clear over clever. And then one of the big ones is it being versatile. So what we mean by this is a great logo, but we can actually work with it in different ways, which I want to show you into different scenarios. So here it works by itself without the strapline, and that it works on black and white, it works on colour. Make sure when you are, if you're doing your logo yourself or getting someone else in, that you have these options. With social, a lot of the horizontal things won't fit into your profile picture. You need to make sure that it fits nicely, because there's nothing worse than seeing a brand that's doing good work and it looks a bit shabby when it doesn't actually fit nicely. You want to look like you know what you're doing, because then people trust you more. So for your visual identities, don't jump on logo trends. Like I said before, stay away from them, stick to more classic modern feel if you want. And don't use too many colours. We do try and say 2 main colours and maybe 2 secondary colours, but keep it simple as much as you can. Don't copy someone else's branding. We always do like to say go look at your competitors and see what they're doing and kind of pick out the bits you like and don't like, but don't copy them, be more original. Like I said before, don't try to fit a horizontal logo into social. It just doesn't work. It either comes out blurry or it's too tiny. And the last one, a big one, don't add your logo to every single social post. You don't need it. Your audience isn't stupid. They can see straight away on every post there is your profile picture and there's also your name. And then when you've got your kind of visual identity of your colours and your font and the shapes, all that adds to being recognisable as who you are. So there's no need to be slapping that on in every single thing. And it takes up space, and it's better to have more white space. So a top tip for when you are developing your brand is create some brand guidelines. So these can be really simple. They can tell people how to use your logo, when to use it, what colours to use, what fonts to use for different things. Kind of make sure you're keeping that consistency. If you're giving it out to some printers, just hand it straight over and say, this is what I want you to stay within. So now you've kind of got your brand identity, you get that sorted, you've got your visual identity. Now you've got those two, you can actually start creating more high quality content to actually make sure you're getting that powerful brand online. And the way to do that is following this formula. So we always like to say start off with a hook. So there's 3 hooks. There's your visual hook, your caption hook, and what I like to call your midway hook. So your visual hook is what is the first thing people are probably going to see and stop scrolling. You've only got milliseconds to actually stop them from doing anything and making sure, because people just scroll now and not care. So that visual hook can be something obviously eye-catching in a video, or some font on your graphic, just anything to make them stop. Your caption hook is obviously in your caption. It tends to be the first sentence. It can be anything from like controversial statement. I don't mean controversial as in say something really horrible. I mean something like, well, I disagree on this. Or it could be something, you know, saying, I've had the worst day ever, ... here's what happened, you explain it. Something that's going to pique someone's interest. And then you've got your midway hook. So this is especially on video, applies to when people actually lose an interest. On videos, you're going to see a drop off usually. And at that point, that's where you need to switch something up. And it works for your caption as well. So when people get reading and think, okay, I've had enough of this, I'm not interested, you need to add in something that's going to keep them interested. In video, it could be where you're changing the angle, changing the location, just keep it that bit more interesting, add text onto it. Within your caption, almost add something, but this wasn't what it seemed like, ... People are like, oh, well, I don't actually know the whole story, I'm going to keep going. The second part is storytelling. So you might, if you're on LinkedIn a lot, you'll see lots of people telling you to storytell. And you probably think, yeah, well, how do I actually do that? And the reason why we always say that is because it actually shows that kind of human side and relatability. It invokes emotion in people. We love to hear stories, and we like to hear of the story of how you got there, you know, a beginning, middle and end. Don't just give people the end lesson, because although it's a lesson, you probably won't take it away without understanding the story of getting there. The third one is tag. So tag people. Don't ever forget to tag them if they are actually useful to your post and your brand. But don't start over tagging everyone. You don't want to see posts where they have like 20 people at the end tagged. You kind of want to make sure they're relevant to what you're saying and keeping them throughout. And just make sure that those people are going to actually interact with your content as well. Because the algorithm can be a bit funny and decide it doesn't like that you've tagged all these people, it looks like you're spamming, and none of them are actually replying to it. The fourth one is keywords and hashtags. So you may find a lot of people have said hashtags are dead, and I disagree completely. Your hashtags and your keywords are definitely what you need throughout it. So hashtags are obviously the little hashtags you see at the end of posts. These are going to help you be found. And you almost want to kind of make sure you've got a few of these in. Definitely works well for Instagram, TikTok, and even LinkedIn. So I'd say make sure you're kind of including them, but don't include loads. Stick to a very few and to what the subject is on your post. Keywords, these are what you need to kind of base what your post is about, and you need to drop them throughout your post. Make sure you are adding those in. There's things such as your long tail keywords, and it's the same for kind of hashtags. People are getting a lot more specific when they're searching now. So actually kind of having those queries, you know, when you go on Google now, I'll always type in, where do I find this in so and so. So kind of make sure you keep in them some generalized ones and some really specific ones. The fifth one is a call to action. So we call these CTAs. These tend to go in the middle, at the end of your post. People like to be told what to do. So they get to the end of your post, tell them what to do. Do you want to comment? Ask them a question, send them to your website, tell them we've got so much money off this product, tell them about a service. So make sure you're telling them what to do. They've got this far. They're obviously interested in what you have to say. And number 6, the last one, all of this is pointless. You can build your brand identity and have it really strong and do everything, and you get to the point where you've posted and then you just go. And it's not going to work. All that hard work has just gone to waste because you haven't engaged, and you need to actually put in the work of speaking to others before your post goes out. Perfectly, that'd be great, and afterwards. And ensure when people are commenting, you're commenting back and creating that community. Social media is social, so make sure you're doing that. So you've probably heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I've created Fran's hierarchy of powerful branding on social, and it looks like this. It's a little bit less than what Maslow said, but to get these things, you have your brand identity, you get that right, and you get your visual identity. You need those two. Then you move up, that's when you can create the high quality content. Got those 3, and you're doing all these things we've said, you're building that powerful brand, and that's when you're going to kind of stand out to a lot of competitors. And just to finish, I wanted to play a game. I want you guys to guess the brand from the colours I'm going to give you. So just shout it out at me. They do get harder, and we'll see how it goes. So this is the first one. Does anyone? It's blue, red, yellow, and green.
Lego?
eBay. No. Google. Yeah, well done. There you go, look Google. Fun fact about Google. They never used to have an image section before JLo wore this dress in 2000, and it became a massive search thing. People were looking for it crazily before the day of big search engines, and that inspired them to actually create the image section on Google. So we can thank JLo for that. The next one, they get a bit trickier because a lot of logos have simplified.
McDonald's?
Yeah, okay, it's not that tricky. It's McDonald's, well done. And a fun fact about them is their chicken nuggets, there's only 4 shapes. There's the boot, the bud, the ball, and the bell. So next time you're having any chicken nuggets, have a look, and there'll only be those shapes hopefully in there.
Real chicken, is it?
Well, yeah. And if there's not, then be worried. So this one, can you guess? It's obvious when you know. And I'm just going to say it's a drink brand.
Coca-Cola.
It is, yeah, it's Coca-Cola. And you probably already know, there used to be a little bit of cocaine in there. There also used to be red wine mixed in with it. And the reason it became non-alcoholic was during, in the US, when they were against alcohol, they made the non-alcoholic version. And that's what we have today, maybe with a little less cocaine involved. I think this is the last one. Can anybody guess?
I want to say Midland Bank, but it doesn't exist anymore.
Nexon.
Is it right?
No, it's a food brand. I give you another hint, but it's too obvious.
Cadbury's?
It is, yeah. It's a Cadbury's, well done. And a fun fact about them is they were the first company to do heart-shaped chocolates in heart-shaped boxes, which they did in 1861, Valentine's Day. And that, folks, is how you build a powerful brand online.